Well, as far back as I can remember, I've been writing poetry. My first poem was published when I was 10 years old, and it's just been happening ever since. Eventually, I made a sideways move wholly and completely into a life of writing and painting, and it's now 47 years later, so it's the longest standing continuity in my life. Other things have come and gone, but this has remained. So on that basis alone, I take it as evidence that the right choice made me at exactly the right time. Otherwise, I still wouldn't be here doing it.
If you were to describe Patrick White in 60 seconds or less, what would you say?
I'd say he's a man incapable of describing anything in 60 seconds or less, basically. You know, a brilliant idiot. There, that just came to me there. So you can trust that one. I'm a brilliant idiot.
At one time in your past, you were the Poet Laureate of Ottawa. Can you tell us a bit about that time in your life?
I really enjoyed it. When I first became Poet Laureate, there were all kinds of controversial articles on who should be the Poet Laureate. But I wasn't seeking it. I was invited to become it by the Ottawa City Council and Mayor Jim Durrell. So it came as much of a shock to me as it did to anybody else. Having accepted it as an honor and overcome the stereotypical bias that resided in members of the Ottawa literary community at the time, that if you became a poet laureate, you were a sellout, or they turned you into some kind of tea cozy or whatever. Forgetting, of course, that people like Ben Jonson, who was far from being a tea cozy, had been the first poet laureate of England. So I accepted the honor graciously. I can fully give witness to the fact that there never came a moment when my integrity was compromised or even approached in any way. I was given complete freedom to write on a subject if I wished, or not if I wished. Topics were presented to me, occasions in Ottawa's history, which I was called upon to honor and celebrate. Those occasions were presented to me, and they asked me politely if I felt I could. I never had a problem with anything that they asked me to do, and was honored to do many things, such as write a poem to address the Olympic flame, which was a big hit, or the Duke and Duchess of York, or the Queen of Netherlands, and especially Dr. Wilbur Keon. With pure pleasure to be able to write and recite a poem to him for all that he's done for people in the Ottawa Valley. And as a poet, how could it not be an enriching experience, to be able to meet politicians on their own turf and see how the world works from that end of things.
So you are aware that Ottawa is again thinking of having a Poet Laureate. So what would you tell Mayor Watson and his crew as council about a Poet Laureate? Should they have one, and why?
Oh, definitely. So it's an adornment to the city, a city that without poets and poetry, to me, is equivalent to a city without flowers, And I don't mean that in a decorative sense. Poetry, like flowers, express something about the spiritual and cultural and artistic lives and sensibilities of the inhabitants of anywhere, not just the capital of Canada, So by all means, yes, a poet laureate. As to how I feel about being the last poet laureate of Ottawa, I've got two cuts on that. One is I either did such a great job that they can't possibly find anyone to stand in my cowboy boots, or my moccasins, as the case may be, or I blew it so badly, messed it up so badly, they're never going to take another chance on that happening again. So I can see it both ways. If you love something almost suicidally, it's your grand driving passion in life, and you stay on the horse, eventually, it seems, it does come to harvest. After 47 years of pursuing the muses, I feel very good, very, very abundant inside, and there's no vacancy that I see other people expressing about getting older.